It's like a little.
What's up? What's up? And what is up? I sang it a little bit today because it is another Friday, but the sun is out in New Jersey after raining all day yesterday. You know what it is. It's the Ball Hawk Sports Talk. You got the crew in the building. We going to be bringing it to you rough, rugged, and raw. It's the only way we know how to do it. And we going to be bringing you sports, business, and entertainment today on this Friday. The Ball Hawk Sports Talk. Today's episode is entitled Don't Call It a Comeback. Don't call it a comeback. You remember the song? Was that the early 90s or whatever? LL Cool J. And did your little Dougie
Some
dance.
say I look like LL.
Some say, and that would be you. That's you were the some. And
Some,
Some don't have the proper health insurance for.
Right.
Hey man, well, that was my interruption. You're not supposed to get a part of that.
Messing up our credibility from the beginning. Some say you look like LL.
That's what I say.
I'm glad some say that. And then looking like LL, we gonna act like LL because today's topic, don't call it a comeback. We got a whole bunch of stuff to bring to you, man. And a comeback, defined. You know, like I like to look at Webster's occasionally. Define in Webster's comeback is a return by a well-known person, especially an entertainer or sports player, to the activity in which they have formerly been successful. You can almost know what we're going to talk about. So strap on your seatbelt. Make sure that you have never participated in the Ball Hawk Sports Talk. Prepare yourself for rough, rugged, and raw. The whole crew is going to be bringing it to you. And I ain't even going to do the countdown. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. I did it anyway. And let's go.
Wake up, wake up, wake up, and stay woke. Because this is the Ball Hawk Sports Talk with your boy, B. Brown, ESQ, a.k.a. the Ball Hog, a.k.a. the Mouth of the South. This is the place where sports, business, and entertainment collide. And we're going to give it to you rough, rugged, and raw. So come get you a spoonful, like some grits with butter and salt. You know how we do it in the South, y'all. Make sure you do not get caught in your feelings. Strap on your seatbelt and enjoy the ride. Come on, let's go, 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 go.
What's up, y'all? You know what it is. It's the Ball Hawk Sports Talk with your boy, B. Brown ESQ, a.k.a. the Ball Hawk, a.k.a. the Mouth of the South, a.k.a. Mr. Excessive Celebration, a.k.a. Brazy, here with the crew. We are live in your living room or in your office or in your smartphone. I'm coming from New Jersey. We got the Big Flow Show coming from Chicago.
What it do? What it do?
And you know what it is. The trio is rounded out by my man ETP Els, the producer, coming to you from the mean streets of Jersey City. What's up, ETP?
Good morning, good afternoon, good evening.
All of those. I feel like all three of those at once because it was a long night. I celebrated, and as an Aries, we don't know how to go halfway into a celebration, so I went all in. But I am here because the people, we got to get the people what they want. And what the people want is they want a comeback story. America loves a good comeback story, and we have one front and center in the middle of sports, business, entertainment. There is a particular animal, and I'm joking, by the way, of calling him an animal, but he wears the name Tiger. Tiger Woods, y'all. Tiger Woods, last that I looked, I think is 1 under par. Last I looked, I think tied for 10th on the leaderboard. And this is the same man that about, let's call it 3-4 days ago, was still deciding whether or not he was going to even participate in the Masters. This is the same man about, let's call it 12 months ago, was wrestling with the ability that he might never walk the same again. This is the same man that I don't know when the accident happened. We thought
I was just going to say that. How long ago was that accident?
Yeah,
February of 2021.
February 2021.
Was it? Wow.
Less than 14 months.
Less than 14 months. Is this so the Tiger thing? I don't know if you guys want to weigh in on just the Tiger himself. Before we hop into that, I should say this. I being rude. Good morning, everybody. Please like, comment, share, tag a friend, tag a foe, tag anybody that you know, and please subscribe on both on our YouTube channel and in the podcast space that you consume your podcast. Now that we got that out of the way, let's get into Tiger. Is this like, when you look at it from afar, when I heard that Tiger was playing well, I thought it was an April Fool's joke. Not because Tiger is not a great, not because Tiger isn't cemented across all sports in that Mount Rushmore of athletes, that I put Tiger up there. But I thought it was a joke because I'm thinking there's no way. And yet here we are. Look up the leaderboard, the Masters in 2022, right? Because again, I'm like, maybe it's an old story. No, in 2022, this Masters, that Tiger, after injury, after the accident, is on the leaderboard. Tiger's a bad man, bro. He's a bad man. I know we were all ready to write the inscription on his tomb as it pertains to sport. He was done. He was dead. And yet, here he is. What do you guys think about Tiger before we hop in? Because I want to compare it to a few other comebacks or a few other feats athletically that seem just out of this universe. But this ranks up there. Tiger being on the leaderboard at this point in the Masters. What do you guys say, man? Most amazing thing ever? I'm going too far. It's hyperbole, but not really extreme. This is amazing. What do you guys think about Tiger?
I think it's amazing. I mean, at the end of the day, like you said, they talked about this guy just, I think he had to be cut out of the vehicle. His leg is mangled. For a while, we weren't getting any updates. So there, you have to believe every bit of touch and go, not knowing what his outlook on life was going to be. So to come back and be able to play golf at a high level.
To come back? What you say? We need to hit a bell every time. Come back.
Don't
call it a comeback.
So for him to be able to come back and play golf, for him to start his first, he did like a little pro-am or something with his kid or something before?
Yeah.
But like
charity
to really just jump on the scene, if you think about realistically, at the Masters, right? And come back and sit there and be in the, I hate to be a party pooper. I think some of that adrenaline is going to fade a little bit. It's going to be a hard time for him to hold it up over the years. His leg going to get a little sore after a couple of days of walking. But this is pretty amazing. It's going to be a pretty big story for Tiger. Especially, I mean, before the injury, he wasn't doing it. He wasn't coming 10th and looking 10th after the first day.
Maybe that's all he needed was a life-threatening
something to remind him, take a little something off of his slice or whatever he has.
Yeah. It ranks up there for me, man. I started thinking about what I would compare it to. Michael Jordan's flu game is the go-to
hangover game.
The hangover game, whatever you want to call it, man. I don't know. I wasn't there, but it's been sold as the flu game, where you see him dehydrated, holding on to Scotty, and some of that was theatrics, as Mike had a way with the theatrics. But it's been the go-to for me as a parent and as a coach when you're trying to tell somebody like, "Oh, I'm sick, I'm hurt." Hey, man, Michael Jordan had one of his best games with the flu, right? It's been a go-to, like this tale that you always share when you're trying to get an athlete going. To me, this trumps it. The flu was one thing, and as men, we know when we get the flu, we are near death, as our wives or significant others would confirm. As men, we don't do well with the flu, but that's in a whole different category than a life-threatening car accident that you had to be, the jaws of life cut you out of the car. And when you saw the remains of the car, you were thinking, yo, Tiger was literally lucky to escape alive, right? And it was about a year after we had the tragic incident with Kobe Bryant and Gigi, his daughter. So when you looked at it, you thought this was something just next level that you would see the car in. To go through that and then be right back on the leaderboard, it's next level. I think this moves the whole Jordan flu game out of the conversation. This is next level. Now with these golf tournaments, a major like this, the Masters, there is a lot of golf still to be played. So we might be celebrating a little too early, but I don't think it would require him going throughout the weekend and continuing this level of play for me to say, just wow, man, next level amazing. ETP, I know what you thought about it. I wanted to compare it to something, but I'll give you a chance to weigh in before I make my comparison. What do you think about Tiger leaderboard after what was a gruesome accident?
Yeah, I mean it's certainly impressive, right? The speed of his recovery, and I mean it's surprising just because we didn't know the extent of the damage and the injury and the effects,
right?
But there's kind of a few things to it. One, what he's been saying is he can hit, he just can't walk, right? Like, so he can actually play the game. It's just that he has to get from one hole to the next. And so the idea of him being able to do this for 4 days is definitely going to be in question, right?
Does that undermine whether or not that statement, sorry to interrupt, but you just brought something to mind. Does that undermine whether or not golf is indeed a sport? Right?
Well,
the man just said he can hit but can't walk, and yet he's out there participating
better than everyone but 9 people. Yeah.
Right, like any other sport, like, man, I can't walk. You done then, bro. You gotta come over here, watch from the sidelines. This man can't walk, and he is on the leaderboard, best golfer in the world.
That's the question, right? So I mean, the other thing about it is, I mean, it's arguable that this isn't even his best comeback performance. He broke his leg. He was playing on a broken leg in 2008 and won the tournament. He did that for 3 days. So this is kind of what he does, literally, par for the course, so to speak, right? Like,
the way he took that golf club from his wife. Let me not start that.
Yeah. He drove right after.
What's interesting though, and we'll see what happens with this, is if he does become an issue with him being able to walk the course. A number of years ago, 10 plus, I can think of, there was a golfer that could golf, but he had some sort of an issue where he just couldn't walk the course, and he was trying to get special dispensation to like drive a cart, and they're like, nope, this sport is done walking.
Right.
Which the debate was, is walking really part of the sport, or is it just what you do? Like, is there any sort of part, is that's like saying like walking to the locker room at halftime or something like that is part of this. No, it's just what you do. You walk to the locker room. But if you took a ride, are you cheating? So they argued back and forth, and they didn't let the guy play. The question is, with Tiger Woods being who he is, if it comes down to I can swing this club and I can do whatever, I can get in and out of the sand traps and all that kind of stuff, but I just cannot walk 18 4 days in a row. I wonder if they'll have the same attitude towards that rule.
Thank you, Mark Osher, I think is how you pronounce that.
Osher.
I mispronounced it. There you
Mark
go.
Osher, the big O. He was the DJ at my wedding, among other things. Lifelong friend.
Lifelong friend. Well, welcome, Big O. He has also provided us the name of that golfer, Matt Kuchar. Is that how you say that? I don't know all of the golf personalities, but it would be, to me, different because he's off of an accident. But if indeed walking and the fatigue that comes from it, walking 18 holes, multiple days, if indeed that has something to do with your physical ability to continue striking the ball, then absolutely. I would say that you got to prevent anybody from getting in that cart.
But do you think anybody really like walks in and is like, man, I would have won, but I was just tired from walking in it? Is that even a factor for most golfers?
You don't know. It might be cumulative, like that last day.
For Tiger Woods,
maybe
it could
for me,
be the answer.
Maybe for me and my man Mark,
right.
We have a hard time. Mark is big, sexy like me. But if you can't walk, I can't walk that many times. But man, if you're a professional golfer, that's not even a factor anymore.
Yeah, I just love to see what Tiger's doing. I want to compare it to something though, man. And initially I wanted to compare it to, because my man ETP, I hear, ETP's fighting off a cold. He got here, and I was ready to just give you praise and accolades for fighting through it. And I have to admit, man, what Tiger's doing is more impressive. So literally,
slightly. Honorable mention.
Honorable mention. You up there?
Only because he did it on a Thursday. And
yeah,
that's the only difference.
But we could do 4 shows this week and put it to the test.
But you got to stand during the whole show.
Yeah. I want you walking around the whole time, man. No golf cart while you do the show. But I ask you this: is this more impressive than Another athletic feat that comes to mind, and I think it's just wow, is Serena Williams winning while in her first trimester of being pregnant. Is this more impressive?
How close was she? How many weeks pregnant? We gotta get specific. Do we know how many weeks?
I think first trimester is what?
That's the first third. So
third. So you got it. What's it? 37, 30. Let's call it 40 weeks.
So she was 12, 13 weeks or less, probably, right? 13 weeks or less. I gotta go Tiger personally, only because I mean my wife was pregnant with our first, and she could still wear a bikini, and we knew the sex of the baby. So that's like I don't know how many months that is, right?
Mm-hmm.
I don't know if she wasn't beating nobody in tennis, but she couldn't beat nobody in tennis before that. So no, she probably could hear me. But anyway, at the end of the day,
you ain't gonna say it with your chest now.
I'm over here whispering and stuff.
Casey Martin is that golfer we were trying to think of. Sorry, Casey Martin. Go ahead.
Appreciate it, Derek. But it's a difference between an injury and you gradually get more and more pregnant, or whatever. And if she's staying with it, I see some women impressive as hell. You know what I'm saying? Like the baby's growing gradually. Like it's not like you're injured as much. It's gonna make you more tired. But she keeps playing the whole time. I've seen women. You should see these people at the gym doing CrossFit with hang cleans, big old belly sticking out, doing whatever. But your leg almost came off.
But it's hold on.
You gonna get
Serena
some real
is
hate
not
mail
in
for
the
this.
gym doing hang cleans when she's out there playing a tennis match though. So
no, I get it. I've seen other women do not super athletes do very impressive things while pregnant.
But the best hang clean in the world,
right? Yeah, like you got Serena's.
I didn't put a lot of research into that.
Yeah,
so I don't know how long we're gonna stay.
Like you might have done an impressive hang clean, but did you win a trophy for it?
Right. For all pregnant women that might be listening, I want to separate myself.
Did she even have a baby bump? She carried. You know what I'm saying?
She did not have a baby bump.
Yeah,
but I was suspecting.
I don't know. Tiger's is more impressive. Maybe she just had a baby. I saw Allison Felix. That impressed me. Didn't she just have the baby right before she did the Olympics or something like that?
No. Her baby was. Her baby was. I don't know how old her baby was when she ran. She was impressive too, but she had a lot. To me, Serena's was way more impressive because she's pregnant at the time. Not
she had two. You were fighting just two souls. There was two souls in there. It was. Women are amazing when they're pregnant.
They are amazing when they're pregnant, but to win,
Tigers,
right? To go out there and win. So the amount of running that you have to do, and this is why I think that Serena's might be more impressive. I went back and forth. I wanted to say Tiger, because again, the jaws of life, right, had to come out and get Tiger out of that car. But man, the amount of running that you got to do to win a tennis match, right? Even if you just have to win, 2 sets. For women, it's the best 2 out of 3 versus 3 out of 5, but still, that's 2 sets of running back and forth and back and forth and back and forth. And then the different movements that your body has to undergo in order to be at that elite level. And on the flip side of it, we arguing whether or not Tiger Woods should get a doggone golf cart and carry him around. And he said he can do this. He just can't walk. I think the athletic accomplishment itself is more impressive than what Serena did.
I walk around looking about 4 to 5 months pregnant, pretty much 365 days a year, and I could, I can still play sports and do whatever.
You could win the Australian Open today.
Yeah, we could go. I could go out there and play today, Wimbledon today, with the cleats on and the helmet. But when your leg is almost chewed off and it doesn't when you ask it to do things and it doesn't respond the way that you asked it to because of the injury, and you got that pain or whatever.
Right.
I don't know.
Your man Big O asked us, and I like the question, where does it compare to George Foreman coming back after 20 years to win the heavyweight title? Because in this show, don't call it a comeback. We can compare them, right? We can throw all 3 of them in. I think Serena's come back from, being pregnant and, obviously being advised by her doctor to make sure you take it easy. I mean, at a minimum, I don't care who her doctor is. They when you're pregnant, they're not thinking you're gonna go out and compete.
Yeah,
in the Australian Open.
Go ahead and do it.
It's a tough comparison because, if it's not a comeback, right? Like, one, I have no idea what it's like to create another human being inside of a human being.
Yeah,
But
at least put yet on there. You know what I mean? Who knows what you could do, man?
I'm not signing up for that technology. I have no desire to.
I'm just saying, put yet on there because I don't want.
I'm not flying to space. I'm not getting pregnant. I'm not doing any of that stuff. I'm not breathing underwater. Like it's all good, man. Like
all right.
I don't need a third arm. I'm straight, dog. Leave me out of this. But it's not something that she came back from. So it's hard to draw the comparison. It's impressive, right? Because nobody else was pregnant and she beat them all. Tiger Woods, I mean, the fact that he played and won, he already has shown that he could do this on a broken leg 14 years ago. Now he's 14 years older. He might, they were questioning
with back issues, with
all back issues, and he had just had a surgery. He had just had a major surgery. So the idea that he's able to do that is, I mean, I don't know that you can compare it really to anything. Not to downplay what Serena did, but that's something that human being is genetically predisposed to be able to do that and create a baby. This person was not meant to be in a 4,000-pound vehicle, removed by the jaws of life and have a steel rod in their leg and everything that he's dealing with in order to be able to perform. Now, I think it's a little premature to say, oh, this is the most amazing, but he's playing better than he's played in, I guess 3 to 4 years before the injury. So we'll see. All
right.
But I mean, like Ronnie Lott had his finger amputated and came back to finish the season. Like there's some crazy stories.
Didn't he try to finish the game? Like it was something crazy.
The story goes crazier and crazier. I think if you really read the story, it's not as crazy as I don't even know if they actually did cut it or he just said cut it.
They cut it after the game because he didn't want to recover. According to him, he didn't want to have to be out. He wanted to be able to make the playoffs. So instead, they amputated it after the game. It's not like in the middle of, not like tip. Rocky, like cut me.
Just a little tip. He just lost.
I'm going back in there.
So y'all both going with Tiger. I think I'm going with Serena. And
I'm not going with Tiger. I'm saying it's different.
You're just saying it's different. Well, I'm the only one that of the three of us that's been pregnant. So, I'm joking, obviously, but I will say this:
you almost had us, though.
You almost had it. You know what I mean? Reg actually started looking closer. He started
anything to win an argument. Man, I was pregnant one time.
That's that barbershop. It's like, well, hold up, man. Like,
you ever been pregnant? Don't talk to me.
You don't know. You weren't there. You don't know my doctor, right? You completely.
Who was the daddy? That's all I want to know. Be.
I fathered my own child. I will say this,
Bobby.
I will say this. Tiger. It was very out of the blue to hear Tiger being on the leaderboard, considering all things considering. But physically, I gotta go with Serena being pregnant to go out there and perform, and just the strenuous act of playing in a tennis match. To me, I'm going with that. Please weigh in, everybody, the audience, our live audience. Again, like I said every week, please like, comment, share, tag a friend, tag a foe, tag anybody you know. Please subscribe in both the YouTube channel and in your podcast world. But also, please, chime in. What do you think is more impressive? The comeback, although the show's name today is Don't Call It a Comeback, the comeback that Tiger has made, the comeback from that accident, from being removed by the jaws of life from that vehicle to having what has been described as a mangled leg, from being described as someone that might never walk the same again, to now on the leaderboard at the Masters. For anyone who's tried their hand at golf, we know how difficult it is. We can just look at Tiger's own career and see how difficult the game is. And yet he is in the top 10 in the world, at least right now, on the leaderboard at the Masters. Or Serena Williams in her first trimester, going out there winning a major tournament, back and forth, volleying and serving and doing all things she needed to do to win. Which is more impressive? Or is it something else? Don't Call It a Comeback. Want to hear what you guys are saying about the sports history. The flu game that Michael Jordan played and did very well, I think officially needs to move over, though. because there's some other accomplishments. The two that we have just shared, along with others, hopefully that our live guests will share, our live audience will share, that I think might be more impressive. I'll let you give a last word, Big Flo, before we move on. What you got?
Say, what's the flu game? Who hasn't scored 40 points while they've been sick? That impressed with that. So
while
I don't think you can score 40 points.
Don't do this.
I think B had the flu when he was pregnant and had 5 touchdowns, right?
After accident. But you couldn't score 40 points.
Do that.
Playing video games while you sick, man.
We still haven't seen you dunk after your birthday.
Oh, I got it. Now I got it. I'm ready now.
After you dunk, I'll drop 40. That's what we're gonna do.
We're gonna have it live, man. The whole world's gonna see this 40-something-year-old man dunk. Speaking of some slam dunks, I think that there was an amazing March Madness run on the men's side. And we overlooked on the women's side that there was Don Staley and the South Carolina Gamecocks that were doing something that I think was just as amazing. The game itself, we can start let's start ladies first. Let's start with March Madness on the women's side. I wanted Stanford to win in the Final Four. I wanted them to beat UConn because I thought Stanford in their front court would be able to battle a lot more with South Carolina. South Carolina dominated the boards. And I know ETP, you and I, we went back and forth. I told you how I love some women's basketball. I think it's just fundamentally sound. It's a good way to teach a young man, for me, 2 young boys, the game, right? There's always a good shot at the end of the possession. Some people struggle with the reality that sometimes people miss that good shot and they struggle to watch women's basketball. I don't. I love it. Yeah, I do. I do.
So who do you like? Name a person that doesn't like when they miss layups.
I mean, I'm not going to name anybody. I'm going to let if anybody hears me who wants to volunteer that they are the ones who don't like it.
For those of you guys, let you know an inside joke why me and Ellis are laughing is he says he likes watching the game, but he can't stand watching them miss all the layups. But here he is on the show, distancing himself from that comment and saying some people don't like this.
But I do like the game, man. I do like the game. I do like the game that is fundamentally sound. I do struggle with some of that, right? Or in the finals, like,
But hold on.
I don't like unexplained falls. Like, why are you falling down? Just don't fall down for nothing. Right? You know what I mean? So I don't like that part.
But I'm the bad guy for saying 3-on-3 professional. But you saying all they do is fall down
and miss layups. So basically, you try to say you're watching kindergarten basketball. Is what you try to say?
No, not at all. I think it's great basketball.
What happens in kindergarten basketball? They fall all the time.
They fall and miss layup. No, I think the women's game has evolved significantly. Obviously, you got women dunking the basketball now, and I think that when you watch South Carolina, it was just really fundamentally sound basketball. And because they earned more possessions by way of both offensive and defensive rebounds, they to me, they were head and shoulders above everybody else. I thought Stanford would give them the best run for their money because they had size. UConn, while Buckner was a great player, and I tweeted this during the game. UConn has a great player who is fun to watch. South Carolina has a great team.
She can go.
Yeah, she can go.
They
she can
also
absolutely.
had their AZ Fudge. She didn't really play much. She's their second leading scorer, freshman.
Right.
But she was out because of some illness. So something to be said. But
pregnant, though?
At the end of the day, maybe. We don't know. That's like, back in the 50s, they send you away. Like,
everybody
visit family.
Yeah.
But they're just not big enough. All you got to do is be pregnant. And let me hit you in your leg a couple times.
Yeah, ETP and I disagreed. I thought they gave the MVP to the right person because of her rebounding, her defensive skills.
She scored. Destiny Henderson scores 26 points, and she was not doing it quietly.
She had a great game, and she made big shots.
Not have won the MVP. 11 points. I understand. 11 points. 16 rebounds.
16
That's
rebounds.
impressive.
And her stat line didn't show just how Yes, Destiny had 26 points, but some of the shots were made available just because you had to devote so much attention to stopping the ball going down low. Some of the shots were made possible because of an offensive rebound that was almost inexplicable. How do you get that rebound? she didn't dominate the stat line, but I thought she still dominated the game. And, what better story to end the season with the woman who gets the, Naismith Player of the Year, Defensive Player of the Year, then gets MVP in the championship. The storyline was too good to pass up. So maybe there's an argument for Destiny.
3 steals. It wasn't like she was just, sitting in the corner, pulling up open jumpers. Like she was going to the bucket. She had 3 steals. She was the MVP in my opinion. I think Aaliyah Boston, body of work, best player in the, AP College Player of the Year. I get it. You got to give it to the, give the award to the already anointed kind of player, just as for good measure. But she wasn't the best player on the court. That's how I see it. I think it was basically just it's a performative award because she was already known to be the top player, so they gave it to her. 16 rebounds, which was like 10 more than any other player in the game. So I'll accept it. But
so you putting this
I think they downplay how valuable, because the defense was oppressive across the board. It wasn't just under the basket, and that part of it, the play of the bigs was strong, but that entire team was just ferocious on defense.
Let me just say this, because my mom named me Brainerd Antoine, and if you see how I spell Antoine, God bless my mama, how she decided to spell my middle name. But Destiny, the thing that made me mad about Destiny is that she spells her name Destanni. That ain't Destiny, man.
I like how you 8-miled me, though. You know what I mean? I'm kind of offended, but I'm impressed because you knew I was going to attack Antoine.
I knew you was going to come right in my name.
So you had the disclaimer.
I put mine up there first before I talk about it.
Yeah, I got to defend this, dog. Like, there's so many words in the English language that are not spelled how they sound.
Don't you think?
Like, like in the army, how you spell colonel? How you spell colonel?
Oh yeah, different than
there's not an R in there, but the hardest sound in the word colonel is R. There's 2 L's and not an R. So let's slow down trying to like police how people are spelling things.
I just think birth certificates should come with spell check, and they can be like, "No, sir, you see it's red underneath. It's underlined in red. Like, we can't let you take the baby home." That's not how. We got a friend from South Florida that I know you know too, Eric Rett, ERRICT. That's not okay. They didn't do that on purpose. They just didn't know.
One time for E-Ret, man.
It's phonetic. It's phonetic. Like I can support phonetic spelling versus throwing in Z's and accents over letters.
I went with Destanni. I didn't go with Destiny. I went with Destanni. But she balled out. I can't believe you're making it. You're going as far as like saying that Aaliyah Boston winning the MVP is like the equivalent of the year that Andre Iguodala got it for Golden State. Like,
no, hell no. Andre Iguodala was not the best player on the team. He was not the MVP. All I'm saying is in that game, and I don't know if they gave actually the award, was it for the Final Four or was it for that championship game?
I think it's championship game. I think they do.
Because if it's for the championship game, she had the biggest impact. She was the most valuable player. She scored 26 points. And she had 3 steals. It's not like she was playing on one end of the court.
You had me with your argument when you said most valuable considering the points. And she hit very big shots, timely shots. Whenever UConn made a run, Destiny hit a big shot. Destanni hit a big shot. But when you said the most impact, that's where you lost me. Because Aaliyah Boston's impact on the game was just, to me, head and shoulders. And we went back and forth. So to everybody watching us go back and forth now, the night of the game, we went back and forth because, that's what we do. I still think I'm right. I still think they gave it to the right person.
Alvin Miller is claiming that it's the Final Four. If it's the Final Four, I will defer. If the award was for the Final Four, I'll defer. But the best player in the game for the championship, I will stand by, is Destanni Henderson. Destiny Henderson. Stop disrespecting because it's phonetically spelled.
That's the only way I can get her, because she showed that she would cross me up. So the only dub I can get is to mess with her name. She absolutely showed out in the championship game. And it was fun to watch, man. Very fun to watch.
First time Ariama ever lost in the championship.
That was pretty impressive too. He was like, and I'll mess up the number. He was like 6-0. It was it was
11-0 in the finals.
Yeah,
it was 11-0 in the championship game.
So for all those LeBron haters, is he trash now because he's got a loss?
Yeah, he's got 11 champions. Yo, he's got 11 championships. Yeah,
so
he's
every
11
time he
and
made it,
now he's
won.
11-1.
Wow!
But now all the Jordan bigots, he's trash now. He has one. It's not perfect.
Yeah,
He's trash.
He's
That's
not the greatest.
11-0. I heard him say undefeated.
He's LeBron now. He's LeBron. He's not Jordan.
But their little rivalry, and not little because it's getting bigger and bigger. South Carolina is doing what you need to do in order to be a dominant program and create what you would consider to be, a dynasty. They are getting the top players year in and year out. Dawn Staley, I and we've said on here, I cheer for her because it just reminds me. I remember her playing for UVA. I remember like the early days of what professional basketball looked like, and she was the in that mix of the early years of what professional women's basketball looked like stateside. And now see her staying true to herself, because when first I turned on the game, I'm like, what does Dawn Staley have on? And apparently it was some expensive jacket, but I'm like, you out here in a Letterman coat? Like, take the coat off. Like, come stay for a while. She coached in a Letterman coat, but it was some expensive coat. Louis or Gucci or something I can't afford. So I wasn't hip. But when it came to the X's and O's, they got to it, man. Dawn Staley's teams are fun to watch. So shout out to her. I think her and Gino are going to go at it for as long as Gino decides to coach. Assuming he's got, he's close to the end. He's up there in age. As they're showing the pictures of early Gino, like, man, Gino been coaching for a long time. Yeah. Long time. On the men's side, man, let's get to that quickly because it looked like North Carolina was going to win it going away. They were beating the brakes off of Kansas. Everybody was asking, sort of, why didn't Kansas show up in the first half? Everyone was questioning whether or not Bill Self was whether or not he was ready for the moment, because North Carolina came out, was on fire. They go into halftime, I think North Carolina's up 16. And then I don't know exactly what was stated in that locker room, but Kansas comes out. And on this episode of Don't Call It a Comeback, we can't call it anything but a comeback because it's the largest ever comeback by a men's team in finals history. So it seemed as though you ever seen that kid that get out real fast and say, fast dogs don't run long? But we all seen the kid that had a great start and always comes up a little short in the 100-meter dash, or the kid that pulls a hamstring. It looked like North Carolina pulled a hamstring.
So that's what we're gonna call them, the hamstrings.
It looked like he pulled a hamstring, man. And I'm all for Hubert Davis. I'm rooting for him. People have blamed him for not making adjustments. I don't necessarily want to go that far. It seemed as though the onslaught right out of halftime was there's nothing you could do about it.
They chewed it up in like 3 minutes.
It completely erased that margin quickly. Now, if they would have then continued throughout the second half and blown the doors off of the game and beat North Carolina, by 20 points, then yeah, I would have gone with that narrative that Hubert Davis didn't make any adjustments. But once they caught up, it was a great game. It went back and forth. I would say, it's been debated whether or not this is the best championship game we've seen in recent history. And I think that I'm willing to go with that because it's definitely the best March Madness, the best run that I can remember in recent history. The championship game, I think, was just the icing on the cake. It was an exclamation point to a great March Madness run by all the teams, including Notre Dame. What did you guys think about the men's championship game and the fact that now we didn't talk about Destiny? I'm just joking. I'm not messing up your name, sister. Destiny, because she absolutely balled out. But on the men's side, we had a name too, and Remy Martin, who also hit big shots. So what did you guys think about the men's side, and where do we go from here? Do we see these two teams next year? I know both teams are rebuilding to a certain degree, but you know, where do we go from here going into next season after a great March Madness?
I think the big thing, one thing that you didn't mention was the UNC Duke Final Four game, which was an amazing precursor to the final, right? Like this thing was billed as the heavyweight championship, Thriller in Manila, the biggest ticket in town, and it lived up to it. Like they went blow for blow the whole game. And it was the perfect way for Coach K to go out as a UNC fan. It was respectable. It wasn't a blowout. So Coach K, it was
heartbreaking.
It was heartbreaking, soul crushing. And he took the L and he walked off into the sunset. And that's the thing. Like, what I have to give it up to, which is crazy, is to be 18, 19, 20 and come off the emotional tax of the amount of focus and pressure that came with that, and then to be able to gear up 2 days later and go into a championship game and start beating the brakes off of this other team. I thought, okay, wow, the resilience and the focus and the discipline of this team is top notch, and they're gonna win this championship. And then they went in halftime and popped some champagne and came out and got laid down.
If you're any North Carolina fan, I'm sorry to interrupt, but I wanted to make sure I piggybacked off of what you said. North Carolina fans at halftime, you could not have told them that they were calling the jeweler to get size for the ring. That's why I'm calling it hamstrings, because they got out there and they was just floating like a butterfly, stinging like a bee, and then the hamstring went left. You know what I mean? That hamstring, and then all of a sudden they got caught. But I don't know if the team did that, but the North Carolina fans in my ecosystem, in my universe, they were already ready for the parade. And what they didn't remember is you got to play two halves of basketball. I don't think Hubert Davis was guilty of that. He did make adjustments, and while I agree the North Carolina Duke Final Four game was amazing, I still would say this championship game was even better, because the storyline that they came back from 16 in itself was amazing. And then they went toe-to-toe back and forth. It came down to who was going to get that last shot. And, of course, we needed a shot by Remy Martin in order to seal the game. But I really liked the championship game, man. I thought it was, amazing. But I agree with you that I think the North Carolina, at least the fans, they were popping bubbly already. And you can't do it. You got to cross the finish line.
But I wouldn't classify this as – go ahead.
No, I'll say the last thing I'll say is it's just hard. Look, at the end of the day, Kansas won that game. They came back and they killed it. But in the last minute, when your best player, Baycott rolled his ankle again, that cortisone shot might have been wearing off. It's just always hard when it's injury. Right? It was like 45 seconds. He had a turnover. He turned the ball over because he rolled his ankle, and that was pretty much him for the end of the game.
Did you see that?
But Kansas came back from 15, so
that's a story in and of itself. Did you see the pictures the floor gave out?
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, that's terrible, man. That is terrible. That's inexcusable. The floor gave out, and that's how he twisted his ankle.
Their statement that they made was that's like the structure. It's designed to provide a level of give that doesn't disrupt the players around them, which is crazy. Like, I know that
is that what they
on
did?
hardwood
that was a lawyer statement. That was a lawyer.
Yeah, but the idea that one board is gonna depress while the rest around it, and then you're gonna roll your ankle on the edge. That's a hard statement to make.
I mean, that's terrible.
Yeah.
Apologies, the only thing you could do is say, man, I don't know how that happened.
And Baycott is projected lottery pick, right? So
I wasn't sold on Baycott, and he sold me these last two games. Like, he just is a monster, because he's a 6'10" big, traditional big, but he made it seem like there's room for it in the game, because I feel like there's really no more room for bigs in the game that don't just shoot threes and play outside or whatever. But he's like, man, he's like a throwback that makes you like, wait a minute, he must have rebounding assassin. Now, if he'd have got MVP, when he had 20 rebounds and what did he have against Duke? Only like 10 points, but 21 rebounds?
Something like that.
Yeah, you would have been
paraphrasing, but you're in the ballpark. Something like that.
Yep. That have bothered you, E? If you'd had that, if you'd have been the MVP with 21 rebounds and 10 points?
If they gave an MVP of that game,
not if somebody dropped 30, yeah, maybe.
I'm just saying, he just looks like to further your argument on the female side. He looked like the most dominant force out there. He only had 10 points, but he had
Love had a big game in the semifinals against Duke. And so the person that wants to give it to the point scorer probably would have given it to Love. But to me, Baycott was definitely the most valuable player of
Dennis
that game.
Rodman ain't never won an MVP.
Love made the game sexier than it needed to be. When he scores, he kept throwing the ball out there like the defenders were invisible. He was throwing alley-oops
against Duke.
Yeah,
but he was scoring that cheese.
He can get to the cup whenever
he was scoring that cheese, man.
There's nothing you can do to stop him but foul.
And he hit big shots like that. The comparison I think goes well because Destiny Henderson hit big shots. Every time UConn thought they was coming back, she's like, "All right, come on, let me get this." All right. And the same thing on the men's side with Love in North Carolina versus Duke. He hit some big shots.
I just love how he turns that corner. Like it looks like really good D, but he just has that long reach and step, and he's at the cup by himself. You're like, man, I don't know what else you can do to cover him because if you get on that arm, he can crush you up. But I don't look at this game when people want to criticize Duke as much as North Carolina as much as of a meltdown because if you think about it, like when you see people lose the lead at the end, it looks more meltdownish. But Kansas comes out halftime and they give them a big run. There was like 5 minutes gone. They ate the lead up and they tied. But then North Carolina slapped the court and played a really solid game the rest of the way. So to your point, there had to be some adjustments made or they would have pulled over, fast them up and just kept going. Right. They kept playing and then became a game. And now you had to play, we're in a championship now. All that. And really North Carolina, if I'm remembering, so many games in the playoffs, didn't they start off with a crazy run in the beginning of the game? And then kind of
in the championship?
Yeah.
Yes. They started off with a major.
They jumped on them early.
Kansas took the early lead. And then North Carolina came. Kansas.
Yeah, then they came back.
Kansas took the early lead. And then North Carolina had a crazy run and then took it all the way into halftime. But they looked so dominant in that run. And I guess
championship teams, they came back and then they had the run of their own and they survived that and then they went through and it got down to the last 3 seconds and air ball whatever. But again, it hurts you when your goon goes out right before the end. So I don't know. I can't criticize North Carolina for giving up that lead because it's just a game of runs and they survived the runs and then it became a very evenly matched championship. I mean, I will point out the fact that I predicted Kansas and I won my pool.
Oh, so here we go. How did that get in there?
Because I brought it up. Yeah. That's why I get it. I said it, and now it's
in it. So.
Breaking news.
The pool had like 70 people, 80 people in it, and I was.
But did you have a broken leg? Are you pregnant?
I'm pregnant. All right, we got something to talk. But what I'm saying? I won the championship. I can't shout myself out.
You're right.
If I don't shout myself out, who's going to do it?
Congratulations.
Nobody on this show, dog.
I don't know why we had to do all the extra. I'll give you a second to get right on the congratulations.
No, if you don't shout yourself out, nobody on this show is doing it. So have at it, man. The floor is yours.
I mean, I just wanted to see how you felt about that winning a pool of 80 people.
I feel like I'm giving you the opportunity to pat yourself on the back. Don't hurt your arm.
But I mean, I got 2 shoulders, dude.
80 people,
pat big back. I got a big back. Look, I just had it. I had just because to further, I like to be complete. Thank you, man, Sheldon. I appreciate you.
Hey, man.
I had it one going in, so I had already sealed.
It's a lonely place.
I'm talking now. We had a seal going into the championship. Right, because nobody picked North Carolina to win it all. So I had already won. So I could sit back there and enjoy the game. They paid me the day of the championship while everybody was still worried about their going. I already had my money. It was fantastic. Look, my leg wasn't broke. I don't have the flu. And no, I'm not pregnant. But I'm very impressed.
You're impressed that you won. And there were 80 people. Because I got checked. And now it was only 3 people. Like, that's not really
80 people. A group of strangers.
I said strangers.
It's my Peloton Dads group. Shout out to the Peloton Dads out there. Peloton Dads group on Facebook. I put the money out there, and I was so nervous it was a con. But I put my little money out there.
Hey, and I'll say this because right after the game, you did send us a screenshot to let us know you won. I don't know how the guy who had Kentucky to win it, how he must have had every other game.
He actually
right.
finished like 11th, so that it didn't update the site. I was telling him how Yahoo's smart. They didn't put the championship out there so people could click 10,000 times to see who won, and then they did it the next morning. But he fell to 11th because there's a bunch of people who had Kansas to win.
Got it. Congratulations, man! You represented the Ball Hawk Sports Talk very well. Winning, it's your championship, but I feel like it belongs to all of us.
Both of ours, except for the money. Everything, all the accolades we can share.
So you being preemptive. You just 8 Mile me. You knew where I was going with that kid.
Yeah.
Basically, what I'm saying is,
I've been there,
brother. Can I borrow
we didn't meet
$5?
today. We didn't just meet today. Everybody want to take. You like the government. You want to taste in everything. You.
I want a little piece of that, man. We won. Let's talk about some other stuff, man. Because I saw someone said, "How about them Lakers?" I think it was my man Chufu Jordan, Cheeky Black. And I agree that how dare we not talk about the Lakers? Because the Lakers are mathematically, that's a very fancy way to put it. Mathematically, they've been eliminated. And as Bubba Dub would say, they have proven that they trash straight up, and it is now confirmed. There was someone amongst us, someone who might have just won their pool. Who all year.
Did you win your pool, E? You're so modest.
who all year.
G's moving silence like lasagna. Another one. Another word that you guys gonna make fun of people's name spellings, but the English language is a word jumble.
It is. You make a good point. It is a jumble. But there was no jumble. It was very clear that one of us stood behind the Lakers and LeBron. All year was saying, as recently as last week, what's gonna happen is
I don't remember that. Yeah. I don't know who you I feel like you're looking at me. I feel like you're looking at me. I gotta be honest. I know it probably is true, but I feel like you're accusing me of that, right? But to be honest, I think the Lakers still got a I think they still got a shot. You never know. They might find out some of those games were illegally played or something like that.
Right. So they're gonna get credit. So you playing the music still in Titanic. It's going down. You still playing the music.
Is tonight the last regular season game or this weekend?
I don't. I mean, for the Lakers, effectively,
it's been that way. I like, and LeBron just said, "Y'all finish up without me. AD, get your ass out there and play. I'm fishing." He already at the fishing hole. When they get there, he's gonna be 3 fish in and catching them.
Who's to blame, man? Who's to blame? I felt like they should have fired Frank Vogel as soon as the Mavs said you were out of it. Fire him right there on the spot, like, hey, yo, bro, you good? Don't even trip, man. We gonna go without a coach for the rest of the year. Who is to blame? So I point at Frank Vogel because of the 4 Hall of Famers. That's right, 4 Hall of Famers on that team. I don't think you can blame LeBron because of the numbers that he put up. Statistically, we haven't seen anything like that for somebody that age. I know that Russell Westbrook was an easy scapegoat, but look at how he's played. Russ has played well over the last several weeks and cut down on the turnovers. His shooting percentage is what it is. He's never been a marksman. That's not why you brought him in. I don't think you can blame Carmelo because he's a role player that at moments I think did a good job playing his role
for his point in his career. Yeah,
and I know you call him Mr. Glass, but you
gotta blame AD.
You can't control injuries, man.
Yes, you can. Take care of yourself. And I'm gonna say you can't.
His was a freak accident too when he rolled his ankle. That was the equivalent of
he's one of them pudding dudes. He's pudding. He made a pudding. He need to get in the gym and work out hard, take care of his body. Some of those things are just wear and tear.
So you're saying him ain't built right?
Here's the thing: is he grew up real soft. He was a point guard, right? And so then he grew to be 6'10". I don't think he ever embraced the fact that he's a big. He just thinks he's a tall point guard, and he's got skills like that. But he just needs to do something, man. I mean, again, people get injured. I got hurt a lot. People get hurt. But I don't know, man. Get in the gym. You keep doing something, some ankle rehab, something, man. Get some better shoes. Maybe he needs to do a better shoe contract or something. But
so you're blaming AD.
I do because I feel like AD can never stay in the lineup. It just throws. They're always adjusting the line. I mean, AD is a major. Pretty much the championship year. People argue the fact that they argue that he was the MVP of that team, right? I still think it was LeBron. But I mean, he's a force to be reckoned with. But you just keep he's out of the lineup so often. They're just trying to do stuff. Westbrook trying to do too much. It's a shame. I mean, I don't know. But the Nets got Hall of Famers too.
But the Nets are in. The Nets are already all the way up to 7 right now.
Barely, though. I'm just saying. It shows you what happens when they.
The East is so tight that I think they only won one game. They went from 10th to 7th or something crazy like that.
The Lakers, if they were in the East, they'd be in.
And if I was a woman, I could actually get pregnant. If we doing that.
But the West, I mean, like the number 8 team or numbers, I don't know. The number 1 team in the East is like, from a record wise, would be like what, number 6 in the East, in the West?
I don't know. I don't have the
research team.
Yeah, I don't have that at my fingertips. But I will say this: that the Lakers are out. So all that you talking about, right?
I don't know. Like let's count. We gotta calculate this real fast. And after the Lakers are eliminated.
They don't. Right?
Maybe you think they're gonna put LeBron in the booth for the thing? Just do the booth.
LeBron can do whatever he want. I mean, he could referee the game.
That's what he should do.
That's why That's why I'm blaming LeBron, because AD, my man Shelton Jordan, he points out, who is in New Orleans. He said it's live out there. I bet the Final Four was crazy out there. They probably still party.
Pelicans are in.
But he's a New Orleans Pelicans fan. He calls AD. You call Mr. Glass. Truthful Jordan, my man, calls him street clothes because he always in street clothes, and sometimes he wears cut off jean shorts with a sweater and calls. Yeah, I don't know what that was, but he says blames on the injuries, which is the reason the Pelicans could never contend with him. Here's why I then take that information and point right at LeBron, because LeBron wanted him. This information was out there already.
I did too.
LeBron wanted Russell Westbrook. LeBron, I don't know if he wanted Carmelo as much as Carmelo wanted.
Carmelo wasn't the problem, though. You can't blame
Carmelo. Was not the problem. You didn't expect much. He gave you more. He delivered more than you expected.
Yeah, he delivered more in the beginning.
This is the last time Carmelo was a factor in the NBA. For a year, he didn't play. There were conversations about 6th man of the year and all this early. Yeah, but what was it, like 4 or 5 years ago? He didn't play for the whole year. He couldn't pick up a squad. Remember that one?
Yeah, because he didn't want to come off the bench.
But I'm just saying, like he couldn't even play. So now we're
it wasn't. Dwight Howard wasn't a factor. Carmelo Anthony, like Trevor Ariza, like none of these guys were the reason.
They got Dwight Howard. They got 5. I said,
you know what? I knew the season was over.
On that team.
When AD laid hands on Dwight Howard and Dwight Howard couldn't make soft ass AD get his hands off, I knew it was dead. I kept saying it, but deep down inside, I knew it was over. That type of softness, you can let AD. AD not supposed to punk anybody, man.
Who we blaming? So you trying to sidetrack us? You trying to get us to talk about this fight and not get this blame game, because don't call it a comeback, but they're gonna have to come back next year. They're not gonna be in the playoffs this year. I know this don't call it comeback episode, but indeed we got to tell them it will come back next year, because this year y'all out the playoffs. So who we blaming? Because you got 5 Hall of Famers on the team. 5.
You know, I blame Donald Trump. Why not? I haven't blamed him in a while. Hell, blame Biden. I don't care. It's bipartisan. Let's go. Blame somebody.
Blame somebody. You know what? You might as well blame Donald Trump or Biden, because you was riding with him just like all of these doggone sycophants do in politics. You was riding for them Lakers. You told us every which way it was going to work out.
I just thought they just needed to give him a chance to let that ankle heal up. And
all right, so this is what we're going to do.
You think LeBron quit, or you think he just...
Oh, we're going to get to that. But before we get to that, I think it's only right that we go and do this. All right. We're going to ask you this. All right. What happened with the Lakers? What had happened with your Lakers that you told us, guaranteed us, they was going to make the playoffs?
The show about me now? Was that what? Oh, this is okay. So what happened was, at the end of the season, they had less wins than 10 other teams. Therefore, they're going to pick in what they call the lottery, but I think they got to give that pick to the Pelicans. So really, they lost twice.
They lost twice.
They should pennants. They should make LeBron. I'm not done. They should make LeBron. They should make LeBron as penance for this. Him and AD should have to work the games, the early games, the playing games. They should have to commentate, sit there and watch, and face the nation. That's what they should have to do.
Face the nation. I agree with you, man.
So
look, you know.
The math that we were talking about. So the Heat would be the 3rd seed in the West right now, and they're the number 1 seed, right? But the Lakers would have been not the 11th, but they would have been 14th.
Oh Lord!
In the East.
Lord. Hold on. Say that one more time. Say that one more time, please. Let's get his reaction.
So as I said, LeBron and AD they should have to work the gate at the game and scan tickets. That's what they should have to do.
Hey,
that's so
Lakers gone fishing, man. So we ain't gonna call it a comeback, but we gonna just nicely tell them come back next year. And look, Bubba Dub blame Jeannie Buss. I don't know who to blame. I don't know who to blame.
I think
Buss
there's
is a good blame. I'll give Jeannie Buss some of that.
But this is enough of a disaster that why should there be only one winner?
Well, Perk said this is the biggest disappointment. Big Perk said this is the biggest. Kendrick Perkins, who I'm talking about, biggest disappointment. And I don't want to misquote him, but it was an extreme statement, like the biggest disappointment ever in NBA.
I agree.
You agree?
I mean, look. These are, like you said, 5 Hall of Famers. How many All-Star How many All-Star selections between everybody on that team? It's got to be what, 45,
100.
50? Like, it's crazy.
Is it bigger disappointment than Golden State being 72 and whatever,
73 and 9 and losing?
Yeah,
that was big.
Absolutely, yes.
This is bigger than that. A bigger disaster.
Yo, you're the 26th ranked team in the league. Like you're not even 40. You're not 500. You're not even 40.
What are rankings outside the top
also
what are rankings?
they operate the same. They go 3 to 30. They go 4 to 30. That's what happens after top 3.
At some point, it doesn't matter.
In the season, and then you are up 3-1, and then a certain person on the Lakers comes back and beats you. That's a bigger disappointment. That we knew they were trash, except me. Everybody.
Yo, you're not even talking about the standard 16 teams in the playoffs. Like they expanded the opportunity to make the playoffs. So 10 teams, right? So 2/3.
You get called. You get summoned. This would be a great time. Hey, I gotta go, guys. This is.
I'd love to have this conversation with you guys, but I gotta drive.
you gotta ride out.
Unlike LeBron, I'm gonna face this though. I'm gonna stay extra and face it. What else y'all got to say?
So let's just ask you then, and because at some point in the legacy conversation, I know it's premature. He's still playing, but we put a lot into it. And I say we because I gave him a lot of credit. I was like, look, I am a self-proclaimed and professed LeBron hater, other than the 4 years that he spent in Miami. But I had to just acknowledge, yo, the dude is balling. He's, statistically. But at the same time, man, when legacy conversations happen, doesn't this season come up?
But
that you couldn't get the team to the playoffs in a 10-team.
But then again, like, what else could he do except lead the league in scoring and do? I mean, like, it wasn't. I don't know.
But that's the thing that, like, what I love about the fact. I mean, look, it's a disservice to every basketball fan that LeBron James is not playing in the playoffs. If you love him or if you hate him, not seeing LeBron in the playoffs is bad for basketball. But I think it just shows how much talent there is in the league because LeBron had a top 3, 4, 5 NBA season and couldn't drag this team just to the play-in, right? So it shows the parity that exists in the league. Like, I can't say that, oh my God. Granted, there should have been at least one player that was like, look, all right, LeBron's playing out of his mind. Let me step up a little bit for us to at least get into the play-in game. I don't care who's injured. I don't care who's on vacation. We got to get into this, but it's his legacy. I mean, the man played in 10 straight NBA finals. He ranks first in like 16 statistical categories in the postseason. I don't know what more he needs to do.
I like this question. Will he play in the last 2 games to qualify for scoring title?
He'll come in for one. Does he have to play in both of them? He has to play in both. I thought he only had to play in one.
I thought he had to play in one. I don't know, but let's either 1 or 2.
He's gonna come back and score 87 points.
The only purpose for doing that would be to get the score down. There's no other.
I would do it.
You would do it? But doesn't that cement all the questions all year? Like, he's just stat pad, man. He's not really leading a team.
I mean, but it's also Laker. It's also Laker Nation, man. Like, if everybody, like last night, everybody was out. Like, everybody was out. Like, that's a really pathetic way to. I know that it means nothing.
I'm playing.
You're just gonna, it's just like, just come back and like give the fans something. Give them something. But
all right, let's
even if it's stat padding, I don't know, man. To shut everybody down.
Hey, they bought their tickets.
Yeah,
a long time ago.
Kobe wouldn't have sat out. He would have shot 80,000 shots to score 50 points.
But Kobe also wouldn't have been moving team to team, getting people. Like, it's a different era, right? If we're gonna be okay and tip our hat to LeBron, saying you live in an era of free agency where the players have power and the team that you decide to play with is on you, and who wouldn't want to play with a good team? If we're gonna you sort of acknowledge that it's a different era, then I would also acknowledge that Kobe and LeBron are different eras when it comes to that as well. Sitting out and load management, and it's a different era.
Of course,
more acceptable.
But all the blame goes to everybody.
Blame goes to
the fact that you can't get perennial all-stars and Hall of Famers into a playing game. The coach needs to be fired. All those players just need to retire.
You said that already.
What?
How many times you gonna say you said that already?
Yeah, we're gonna dig it in. Yeah, right here, knife. Right here. Go ahead and twist it. All right. So
and Big Flo for having faith for way too long.
Man,
that's the problem.
Too much support. You were
coddling these kids. That's the problem. I'll take that. Too much support.
All right, let's go. So now we're gonna get into sprint mode, man. We at the 5-minute mark, man. We are gonna focus on some topics that we won't analyze as much, but are really, I think, indicative of sort of the title today. Don't call it a comeback. First one, Brian Flores. Now the lawsuit is expanding a bit. You have two other coaches, Steve Wilkes and Ray Horton, that are joining in on what has been dubbed as a class action. Their stories are starting to come out too. Is this sort of the Pandora's box that is open, and are more coaches going to rush through the floodgates and start being a part of what we know has been happening? Because just the Rooney Rule, and it's the fact that the NFL teams have made a mockery of it is just staring you right in the face. What do you guys think about it? Is this more to come, or do we think that these allegations are weak? I know we've all looked at them quickly over the last few days. What's your quick response to it, knowing that Brian Flores is now being joined by two other coaches?
I think it's positive, right? Like it shows. I mean, it just shows that this is clearly a broader issue than one coach or one employee of an organization.
Right.
But I do think that, on one side, it's interesting, right? Ray Horton's case or his allegations feel a lot stronger, where there's actually documentation that was in Mike Malarkey, which is the best last name ever for a white guy. It's the fact that there's evidence saying that he disclosed that he received the job before Ray Horton was even interviewed in Tennessee. Like, that's a huge statement. Right. Steve Wilkes, where he's saying he just had a shorter leash. I mean, racism can always be, covered up, and you can always justify that. It's hard to say like, oh, well, he was fired because, performance and cultural fit and all of these other, code words that you can use. But the point is, there's more to it. The other piece that's interesting that I haven't seen that I think adds to the story is, so in this amendment that they added, not just these two coaches, but also they included Flores included a memo, more detail around Stephen Ross offering some level of compensation for him to throw games.
Right.
So if that's material, then that opens some really interesting conversations.
Yeah, that owner's in trouble, man. Because the whole competitive nature, and now that sports betting is such a part of the fabric of sport.
Right.
Like, if the integrity of the game is a question, he's in trouble. A Big Flow Show. What do you think, man? Before we move on, is this?
I think it just there's validity there. You can tell just by the way the NFL's reacted. They've already come out with the rule about the every team will have a minority on the staff played by the NFL. They are scrambling to try to bury the story, and they're scrambling to try to cover it up with other things. And I think a lot of it's going to be that game throwing. People are worried about it, but they just don't want this to happen. So it's obviously valid, because if it wasn't valid, the NFL wouldn't be doing what they're doing.
Yeah.
And I think the story just needs to come out at some point. It needs to. It's a good old boy network that's just covered up because everyone's, anytime there's a pattern of abuse, if you want to call this a pattern of abuse, people are always scared to speak up because the repercussions that they face personally are going to be so great. So all these coaches have to worry about their careers because they got to go work for these people that they just blew the whistle on. But somebody got to step up and do it. Flores was the first one, and now these guys are stepping up, and I think that list will keep growing. And then there'll be some change out there.
I'm happy for
the
Brian.
three of us on the team.
I'm happy. Absolutely. Let's do it. The ball hog bandits. But I'm happy for Brian Flores because it looked like he was in the echo chamber. Like, hey, man, there's a big old problem going on out here. Let me tell y'all about it. Hey, guys, come on. Let's tell them about it. And no one was stepping up. So at least we know, there's people willing to step up. Notre Dame has decided for the first time ever in 2023, they're going to play an FCS school. And that FCS school is none other than, drumroll please, Tennessee State, led by Eddie George. They're going to play at HBCU. And I was asked minutes after it. I happened to be on, I happened to be on a podcast when the news broke. And, I was able to answer a certain way, but I'm joking about the podcast and being in the opportunity, but I'm not joking about the response. I immediately was like, hey, that's great. I didn't know that Notre Dame fans would take issue with it. And one Notre Dame alum, not only fan, but who was a great, at Notre Dame, played quarterback Brady Quinn, took particular issue with it and basically said, Notre Dame can't do this. We're becoming one of just the other programs. We're just like them, and we used to do it differently. I went on to add substance about, sort of strength of schedule. And I think it's a great thing to do for college football in general, but for HBCUs to have that platform, this particular HBCU, Tennessee State, led by Eddie George, I think it's a great thing to do. And I was celebrating that my alma mater was leading the way on that opportunity and that platform. So I was shocked to hear Brady Quinn take issue with it. I just think that this is like, we say men are from Mars, women are from Venus. I think the same could be true in terms of racial lines, right? It's like Brady Quinn's a good dude, you know what I mean? Like real solid dude, Ohioan, Midwesterner, was great for the program while he was there, and I think has been a great representative of the program since he left. But like same sort of concept. I just don't think as a white guy, he just don't get it. You know what I mean? You just don't get it. And I'll leave it there before we anybody wanted to chime in. I'm looking forward to it in 2023. It's the game after they come back from Ireland, Notre Dame, to play Tennessee State. I know I'll be in the building supporting that. And maybe one day we'll get Brady Quinn on and we could just debate it. Because I don't think he was coming from a mean-spirited place. And I definitely don't think he was coming from a racist place. I know him. And I think it was just some things you'll never understand. And to have the opportunity, I think Eddie George is going to do a good job in showing what his team has become since he's been there. And shout out to Notre Dame for giving Tennessee State that platform and playing them in 2020.
I think it's a good thing. I think if you look historically, Notre Dame is given an opportunity to some of the schools that, first of all, we take on. They talk about our strength of schedule. We take on historically great teams, right? We take on teams that are up and coming, do different things there. We give an opportunity sometimes of old coaches that we've played, grab a game with them, played some MAC teams that, people might not think you should play. Everybody plays some teams that are inferior out there. And obviously we have like our Navy, but Navy's now a solid program. I think it's great. I mean, there's a big movement, right, trying to get the HBCUs to pump up. And I think for a major college program to go out there and going to put national exposure on an HBCU and have them out there, I think it should be commended. I mean, something's bigger than strength of schedule. We're going to – hopefully the other teams we play are going to be fantastic and we can, get in and go undefeated or whatever. But I think just to give them a chance and support this movement, I think, I got to support Notre Dame's decision to do it.
Yeah, I like it. ETP.
But it is a precedent. It is a bit of a precedent for Notre Dame to be playing that low of a ranked or performing football team,
Yeah.
right? Like even last year, like Toledo, but they played tough, right? But it's hard, right? I think it's a little tone deaf what Brady Quinn is saying, like not understanding the ramifications and the impact of this, and where the opportunity is. Right. But at the same time, like Notre Dame never really plays any slouches. So
this is the first FCS team that they're ever going to play
ever.
Right.
Ever.
They're the only team in Division I FBS that has never played an FCS team.
Right. So that being said, like I think there's an argument there, right? But like it's tone deaf, not understanding the context of the situation. But Notre Dame known to be, basically we're willing to play anybody. We're going to be an independent, and you took it's actually a question too, because the rankings are going to be really hard for them. They have to, because they're not in a conference, they have, like, Notre Dame has to play every game. Every game matters in a way that if you're in a conference is different, right? So there's an argument for it. I think it's just a little tone deaf, not understanding that this has value for things beyond just the rankings for Notre Dame.
At the end of the year, playoff committee gets together. Notre Dame has solid wins because they also have some big names on. They got Clemson, and it's a tough schedule. End of 2023 season, they're undefeated, but one of those wins against Tennessee State. Does the playoff committee penalize them for having Tennessee
I'm not
State?
saying if they penalize them for winning against Tennessee State. I say that as they evaluate their body of work, it reduces their strength of schedule. And if they were replaced with another team that was more competitive in the landscape, then maybe that strengthens the argument for Notre Dame. So all I'm saying is, because Notre Dame is always going to be a unique case as long as Notre Dame does not become a part of a conference.
Right.
And because of that, body of work, strength of schedule, all of these other metrics. So every game matters in ways where, like Alabama can play, any FCS team to start the season as a cash game or whatever, but they still got to roll through the SEC and win the SEC title. So that's a different reality than what happens for Notre Dame.
Right. I'll take it, man. It'll be interesting to see. I wish I could be a fly on the wall in the playoff committee in that situation and see what the conversation is, because that is what, the Dion and Eddie George sacrifice. Like, it's supposed to be in that room. You don't look at it as a less than opponent, and we're not there yet. So it will be interesting, man. Last topic, man.
But race aside, it's an inferior opponent, right? Like, you can't sugarcoat that. Like, you can't deny that reality.
I think the game is trying to help make them in the future a stronger opponent, because when the Tennessee State can say we're going to be playing Notre Dame, that's going to help them. They're bringing them to the table. They're doing a great thing for the program.
But absolutely. So that's what I'm saying.
I think it highlights too why March Madness is so amazing, because basically we're talking Notre Dame versus Tennessee State. We watched it in Purdue versus St. Peter's, right? It's like, that's what makes that tournament so amazing, man. Let's get last topic before we get out of here. And there's two different ends of it, right? It's like two different extremes. On one side, it's the players that decided, you know what, we out. LSU, their entire team is in the transfer portal after their coach was fired, and now they're facing sanctions and something's gonna happen. On the other end of it, in Grambling State University, right? The volleyball coach, within the first week, on day number 3, basically fired her whole team. All y'all fired. Like, y'all done. I cut the whole team. Two very different extreme stories, but I thought both very interesting on this episode of Don't Call It a Comeback, because the Grambling State coach literally said, y'all just don't come back, right? And then LSU, they was like, we ain't coming back, the players. How do both of those stories happen in 1 week? And then we'll leave on that one, man. Which one do you think is more extreme, more crazy? Grambling State's volleyball coach cutting everybody on day 3. Like, nah, I'm not really liking where we're going with this. Or LSU, after they made it to the March Madness, Sweet 16, I think. They had a good run. It looked like the program was in great direction. Their entire team is in the transfer portal, and the commits that were supposed to come in, they decide, nah, we good. Which
to be
story
fair, 2 guys are going to the draft. The coach got fired. They lost all their commits from 22, 23. Everybody transferred. because there was 7 violations or whatever. They knew that they was dead. They all knew that they did it. Nothing says I did it. Nothing said we did it. Like, you know what, man? I think I'm gonna go to the streets of Bama, but but I still had to say it's more extreme because we know cheating happens and people just bail on consequences. But the Grambling State, how bad were those practices that they said, you know what? None of y'all, everybody got to go. Yeah. You know, maybe they should have got her. She should be the next coach of the Lakers.
But isn't that punting on your responsibilities? Because I will say publicly that I coached the AAU team against a really, really, really good team. A team that, you know, we first time played together. Some kids first time playing basketball. But I like that the coaches put them on the circuit. And I preface that before I say this part. We got beat 44-5. We got the brakes beat off of us. Now, I'm looking at this team behind me, if we would call it a team. They're kids. But I'm thinking, all right, we're going to go back to work. Right? Grambling State coach is like, nah, they're that bad. I can't even do anything with them. Y'all all cut. To me, that's more extreme. ETP, which one of those two stories you look at, you're like, this is crazy? Both of them are abnormal, but which do you think is more abnormal?
Yeah, I mean, the LSU one is pretty crazy, right? But they've got a violation investigation going on. There's a new coach. The nature of college basketball is very transient, so it's extreme. But the idea that a coach came in to the first, basically 3 practices, was like, yeah, everybody, not even like one of y'all showing me something. Like, you cleaned the entire house, and now you gotta feel like who's gonna now play on the volleyball team. Like, that's a huge risk for a volleyball coach to come in, unless. So that's the other thing, right? So I think about the LSU coach. He came from Murray State. It's like, okay, well, so does he now pull all his guys from Murray State to come play at LSU? Or like, how transfer portal kind of gives a cushion on both sides. But the empowerment on the Grambling side is where it's like, okay, now you can dip into the transfer portal because you know that it's full of a ton of talent in there. I don't know how it is for volleyball, right. but the level, the audacity to say, I don't need any of y'all. Right. And I just got here. I don't even know where the bathroom is yet. I don't know where the printer is, but I don't care. I'll figure it out. And we're going to have a whole new squad, and I'm going to run tryouts right before preseason, and we're going to have a whole new team. That's extreme. And the thing for me that's hard is the authority to be able to just cancel scholarships like that. Like, there's no protection for these athletes. That's the most extreme, right? Because look, you go to Grambling, you're most likely, one, it's volleyball. There's not a lot of professional opportunities in volleyball. And then you don't go to, you're not at a top, you don't go to USC or Stanford or, wherever the biggest volleyball schools are. You're at Grambling and you were on a scholarship. And right before the season starts, you're told that your scholarship is revoked. So, like, not just your athletic career, but it's right. But my point is, you still need to find another school to give you a scholarship. Right. Like, I don't care if it's maybe they can hoop.
Right. They're gonna just trade.
So that's the shame of it all. Like, you went from a full scholarship athlete to now you may not finish college. Like, that's insane.
What is the because we gotta let my man Big Flo Show is a volleyball dad. He's about to go live up to his volleyball dad.
Grambling, if y'all interested.
Right. I was gonna say, put your plug in, man. They need volleyball players right now. So your daughter,
education.
Do you know who the best volleyball program is? Women's volleyball.
Big Ten. Big Ten schools like Wisconsin, Indiana, all that kind of stuff. They're always great.
All right.
Louisville's actually in the Big Ten, I think, for volleyball, which is crazy. Which is
make sure that you give us back some reports on how the volleyball weekend went, man. With that, man,
everybody stays on the team.
Yeah, I know, right?
All right, y'all. Everybody. Hey, shout out to Northwestern. They had a spring-ish game tomorrow. Can't be there, but I hope y'all do great, everybody.
Yeah, let's go. All right, we gonna go out there. Any parting shots you got to go with ETP before we take it home for the day?
As I do every week, free Brittany Griner.
Free Brittany. With that, man, this has been a great episode. We really, really, really appreciate everyone's support. Please like, comment, share, tag a friend, tag a foe, tag anybody that you know. Please listen back to it and subscribe both on the YouTube channel and in the podcast universe, whatever podcast space you consume your podcast. This is the Ball Hawk Sports Talk, where sports, business, and entertainment collide. We only do it one way, rough, rugged, and raw. I'm your boy, B Brown, ESQ, a.k.a. the Ball Hawk, a.k.a. the Mouth of South, a.k.a. Mr. Excessive Celebration, a.k.a. Brazy. I was joined by the crew, the co-host, my man ETP Els, the producer, and the Big Flow Show. This has been our episode for the week. It was Don't Call It a Comeback. We had a lot of good stuff to talk about. Make sure that you like, comment, share. And with that, have a great week, y'all. We is out. Peace.